There is a property locals avoid talking about, not because it's haunted, not because it's abandoned, but because of what one woman said is buried beneath it. This is the Dead Hour. She claims her father killed dozens of women. She claims she helped him bury them, and she claims the bodies are still there, in wells, under the ground, beneath years of silence. But here's the part that turns this from a simple accusation into something much darker. Investigators searched the land. They brought cadaver dogs. They dug, and they found almost nothing. So now the question becomes, if the memories are real, where are the bodies? And if they're not real, then what exactly has haunted this family for decades? The story centers around rural Iowa farmland associated with Donald Dean Studi. This isn't a city. No witnesses on every corner. No surveillance cameras. Just open land, old wells, and long stretches of isolation. And that isolation matters, because in true crime history, places like this often become dumping grounds, forgotten jurisdictions, or simply blind spots in early policing. But nothing in the official record ever classified this land as a crime scene, not until decades later, when one daughter stepped forward and said, "We grew up around dead women. We just didn't know that's what they were." Donald Dean Studi died in 2013. He was never charged with murder, never arrested for homicide, never convicted of anything related to the allegations. But according to his daughter Lucy, legal records tell only part of the story. This is what we know about Donald. He lived in rural Iowa. He was father to multiple children, known within family as abusive and controlling. Lucy alleges he killed women over decades, brought victims to rural property, used wells and land to dispose of the remains, involved children in cleanup activities. She estimates 50 to 70 victims. That number immediately raised national attention, because it would place him among the most prolific serial killers in U.S. history. But here's the problem. No physical evidence has ever confirmed a single victim, and that creates the central tension of the entire case. Is this the story of hidden mass murder, or the story of unprovable memory trauma? Lucy Studi McKitty is not a distant witness. She is the center of the narrative. She describes childhood exposure to violence, being taken to remote parts of property, instruction she did not understand at the time.
He'd given the same old story of, "I'm a widower, her mom committed suicide when she was just a baby, and I can't give you a lot of money, but when you're ready to leave, I'll give you money." Now, some women did come and watch us and they left, but if you threatened my dad, he disappeared.
And later, realization of what she believes she saw. But her family is deeply divided. Some relatives say she is remembering things incorrectly. Others say she's remembering what everyone else refuses to admit.
When I first interviewed with the FBI, I did tell them, Lucy's right about one thing. And they perked up. They go, "What's that?" I go, "Dad did like the horse races." And they both giggled.
That division turns this into something rare in true crime. A case where the argument is not just about what happened, but whether memory itself can be trusted. And investigators are forced into an uncomfortable position. They are not just testing evidence, they are testing belief against absence. The most disturbing part of Lucy's allegations centers on one physical feature: wells on the property. She claims bodies were disposed in them. Lime or chemicals may have been used. Children were forced to assist in disposal. This is the most visually concrete part of the story. But when authorities investigated, wells were searched, soil was tested, cadaver dogs were deployed, excavations were conducted, and the results were inconclusive. No confirmed human remains were recovered. Only environmental disturbances and animal bones were reported in some searches. So now investigators face a contradiction. If multiple victims were disposed in here, why does the land refuse to reveal them? The case does not fail because it is simple. It fails because it is incomplete. Investigators were left with no bodies, no crime scene timeline, no forensic chain of custody, and no verified victim list. But they also could not fully dismiss the allegations, because multiple independent interviews repeated similar claims. And in true crime, repetition is not proof, but it's also not nothing.
Some of her story is staying very consistent. She was able to walk us right up to the well site.
So the case becomes suspended between two realities, one where nothing happened, and one where something happened but left no trace. This is where public interpretation takes over. Theory 1 is a mass undetected serial killer. Supporters argue rural isolation allowed long-term concealment. Transient victims would go unreported. Early policing may have missed patterns. Theory 2, memory collapse, trauma reconstruction. Critics argue childhood trauma can distort timelines. Memory becomes narrative over decades. External influence may shape recollection. And theory 3 is the lost evidence theory. A middle position: remains may have degraded completely. Soil and water systems may have destroyed evidence. Decades of environmental change erased forensic traces. But all three theories share the same flaw. None can be proven definitively, which means the case doesn't resolve, it only branches. Across interviews, one idea repeats: not just violence, but routine. Lucy describes a world where disturbing things were not dramatic events. They were part of daily life. And that creates a psychological problem for investigators. If something horrific is normalized early enough, would it even be recognized as a crime at the time? Or only later, when memory tries to rebuild meaning from fragments? This is where the case stops being about land and becomes about perception. The Green Hollow case is not resolved, not legally, not forensically, not even narratively, because every path forward breaks in one direction. Either there is a massive hidden crime with no physical trace, or there is a deeply believed story that cannot be proven true, and neither answer feels complete. So the case remains where it started: a father who cannot be proven guilty, a daughter who cannot be fully dismissed, and a piece of land that holds no answers. Only questions that grow louder the longer they go unanswered. And maybe that is the real mystery. Not what is buried in Green Hollow, but why a story refuses to disappear, even when the evidence does.